Hi, it's me, Daphne, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna be doing the mid-year book freakout tag, and I'm so excited to be going through these. So I've read 48 books this year and DNF'd an additional 8. So let's go through these mid-year freakout tag questions. I'm gonna be putting all the questions down in my description box if you wanna do this tag as well. Mine's probably coming out mid-July at this rate, but we're gonna keep trucking. So the first question is the best book you've read so far in 2024, and I don't feel like saying just one book. You know, let's leave the anticipation for the end of the year to see if I have a very favorite book of the year, like the one and only. The first one I'm going to talk about is An Extraordinary Union by Alyssa Cole. I gave this 5 stars. To be fair, I definitely gave it 5 stars. Like, I weighted a little heavier because it was a gift from my mother, which I so appreciate. Also, this is a Black heroine, which also she gets extra points for being a beautiful, fabulous, successful Black woman. It's a historical romance. She is a spy and she falls in love with another spy who is a white man pretending to be a Confederate soldier. She falls in love with him once she knows he's a spy, but she also knows that she would never be like fully accepted in a society where the Civil War is happening, like to be in a relationship with a white man, you know, if that makes any sense. I probably didn't say that the best. This was a fun time. Considering the subject matter, you know, I mean, like, is it like, oh, it'll be fun? I mean, it's got like a very serious topic as well. It's very short, and it's a part of a series that maybe I'll continue one day soon. The next top book that I read this year was The Words by Ashley Jade. This is a chunky, dramatic romance. It spans over a decent amount of time. The couple meets when they're in high school, and then they have this huge fight conflict for a good reason, and then they reconnect in their 20s. The hero is a rock star, and our heroine is a curvy, aspiring songwriter. Like, she's really good at writing songs. Her father was a songwriter. She like is scared to pursue that passion. This one was really good. It was super steamy, so much drama. Even within the surrounding characters, like crazy-ish was happening. I was highly entertained. It was candy. You know what I mean? Like, the drama was candy, the steam was candy, the angst was candy, just everything. I ate it up. There are times where like you have to be like, okay, it's not a perfect book because the characters feel things or decide things or changed quickly or like whatever, or like accept flaws in other people. I don't know, but I had a fantastic time reading it. I want to read more Ashley Jade, but I don't think she has a very extensive backlist. And the last book that I'll say is one of my favorites for the year so far is The Picture of Dorian Gray, specifically the uncensored version of the novel. It's shorter than some of the standard editions that people probably read, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I annotated it, I highlighted it, I wrote notes in it. It was a blast to read. I think as a woman who is a millennial, who's not the youngest generation anymore, it hits really different because it's all about like beauty and youth, and how like beauty and youth is the best thing you can be, and like you should just do whatever you want if you're beautiful and young, and like how that can be corrupting, and how that attitude of like just focusing on basically pretty privilege and like all this stuff can be destructive in the wrong hands. It also has some queer elements to it that were removed in the censored editions. So I had so much fun, and I love talking about it with my friends here in real life. The next question is a new release I haven't read yet, but really want to, and I have 2 for that. I have Ready or Not, which I desperately need to read because I think this will be on the Goodreads Choice Awards. This is about a pregnant woman falling in love with another man who's not the baby daddy, and it's their romance. It takes place in Brooklyn. And then also I have Wild Love by Elsie Silvers. This is her new release, right? This came out this year. Pretty confident this came out this year. Oh, there's a map in here, yeah. There's a map. A romance that's not a fantasy with a map? I think this is the first time ever I've come across a contemporary romance with a map. They're like, okay, you Americans don't know Canada? Here's a map of Canada? But I don't know, maybe because so far her series have like kind of overlapped with the families and the characters. Oh, that's so cool. Anyway, yeah, so I'm excited for these 2. This book is Elsie Silver's new release for her new country cowboy romance series. and I've been really enjoying her books, but I'm working through her backlist as was stated in my July TBR, which I can link for you if you like. So yeah, I'm like desperate to finish her backlist so I can get to this before the end of the year. Wouldn't that be fantastic? So I think I have to read maybe 4 or 5 total books in her 2 earlier series to catch up to this one, because I love reading things in order, especially if this is gonna overlap with some of the other characters and I wanna know them to the level I should before I move on. It's a best friend's little sister romance. That's all I really need to know. I don't need to know anything else, okay? I don't need to know anything else. The next question is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I am not that kind of person. I am not anticipating anything because I don't know what's coming. I hear things are coming up to release maybe like 2 weeks before they're gonna be released because the romance girlies are doing their job and they're getting the arcs and they're talking about them soon before release day. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's coming out. But like, I'm not anticipating anything because I'm just not that girl, okay? So we're gonna move on from that. Biggest disappointments. So I have a couple. I'm gonna name 3 and we're just gonna breeze through them. These 3 books, I've DNF'd all of them. We'll start with probably the most disappointing one, which was Indigo Ridge by Daphne Perry. I almost bought this book, okay? I almost bought this physically, but I was like, oh no, it's on KU. Let me be wise, let me be smart, and try out the book for free, like in something I already subscribed to before committing to buying it. I think that's the best way. Sometimes I'm like, I don't feel like taking a risk. Let me just get it on KU, because there's so many romances on KU. Anyway, that was so disappointing. Because I did not know it was basically gonna be Fade to Black. And it's so bizarre to me when a romance scenario like is focused on the fact that the characters are lusting after each other. Like, it's not like they're slow burn falling in love, it's cute and romantic. It's like they slept together and that's what's driving the story, is this like lust that they have for each other, and then like make it fade to black. And then it's so awkward for like the characters to like reminisce on this amazing night they had together. And I'm like, it just feels like, okay, and now I don't need to know, because you're not gonna let me witness your connection and like why you're so attracted to each other and like how amazing your physical like chemistry is. I don't know. It just feels very strange to me. I'm like, it should be like almost nothing or just like open door, okay? And I have to know it's almost nothing when I go in, and I did not know it was gonna be Fade to Black with this awkward, like, let's kind of reminisce about how, I don't know. It just felt so strange to me, and I was like, what a waste of my time. This is not what I'm here for. My priority is the romance, and it's not giving, so I DNF'd it. Wow, that was really aggressive. I'm sorry if you like that book, but it wasn't for me, which is fine. Not everything has to be for everybody. So another disappointment that I DNF'd was Sanctuary with Kings. The first one is A Lady of Rooksgrave Manor. So I read that, I read the second one, The Company of Fiends, and then I was trying to read The Sanctuary of Kings, which is the third one, and I also read the novella one, The Basilisk of Star Manor, and enjoyed that. But for whatever reason, this third book, The Sanctuary of Kings, was not a vibe. I just like couldn't connect with our main character, and I couldn't connect with the male characters that we were introduced to, and I just like didn't care, and I was like, I'm just not feeling it, and I'm like, oh, I'm forcing it, and the book is so long. So I just ended up DNFing. I felt like I was like currently reading it for months, like even like last year. I probably started it last year, you know, so I DNF'd that. That was really disappointing because that series was fun. I was making my way through it. I mean, if she comes out with another one, oh, but it's like, if she comes out with a fourth one, I'll probably want to read it, but then there's this overarching storyline that I'll have missed out on the third one, so maybe like I'll go back. Ugh, I don't know, I don't feel like it. Maybe I'll just be done with it. And then the last disappointment I wanted to mention was Gideon the Ninth. I read this for my IRL book club, and I DNF'd it also because I was just literally so bored. I was so bored trying to read this book. There is a section in the book where Gideon is like in this weird competition, but she's not the competitor. She's just like the muscle or the assistant to the competitor, and her partner is this a-hole chick. I think they maybe have kind of like a romance, but like I just didn't care. And Gideon is literally describing her time at this competition. It's not like a fighting competition necessarily in the beginning. Like they have to like solve things and like figure out clues and stuff. And Gideon's just like wandering around this like abandoned mansion thing, bored. She's just bored. And she's describing how bored she is, and I'm like, I'm bored. I don't want to read about how bored you are. Like, I literally don't care. And also, I don't like competitions in books. I like them in media, like TV and stuff, but I don't care about them in books. I find them so boring and uninteresting, particularly in romance, because usually in romance, everything will work out when it comes to competition, like it's not a big deal. But like with this, and this isn't a romance, so maybe, like, I mean, I know how it ends, but like things aren't guaranteed to work out, but like I just couldn't care less. So I ended up reading like the spark notes of it. And like even reading the spark notes, I was like, this is a slog, like a slog trying to just get through the spark notes. So definitely not for me. If you love it, I'm so sorry to offend if I've offended. But yeah, sorry. Okay, let's just move on. The next question is the biggest surprise, and I'm gonna say Goose Girl by Shannon Hale. This is the first book in a cutesy fairy tale-esque story. I'd say it's kind of YA. I don't really know how old this character is. My friend Monica gifted this to me for Christmas, so I was just randomly in the mood to read it early in the year, excited to read my gifted book. I had the audiobook checked out from the library as well, which was like full cast audio, which was really good, though some of the voices kind of irritate me, so I would like kind of go on and off with like listening and reading along and then just reading with my eyes. I ended up giving it 5 stars. It has to do with like my experience with the book, my personal connection to the book because it was a gift, and also like my expectations going into the book, which were like, I don't know, my expectations were like non-existent, like maybe kind of low, because I'm like, I don't know about a fairy tale, I don't know. Also, me and Monica don't always like the same things, but I ended up really enjoying myself, and I do want to continue the series, so very surprised. Basically, we have our princess, who's our main character. She is on her way to get married to this prince in the neighboring kingdom, and pandemonium kind of ensues, and she ends up being homeless and gets a job in the kingdom as a goose girl, and it's her trying to like reclaim her identity and all this stuff, and like have people believe that she is the true princess. The next question is favorite new to you author, and for this I'm gonna say Tia Williams. I read 7 Days in June, and this book, you know, is advertised as a romance. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a romance. I'd say it's like just general fiction. It's about 2 Black authors who have a history. They've been writing to each other in their stories for years, and they have 7 Days in June where they reconnect. There is a bit of animosity. There's a lot of trauma. Definitely trigger warnings you should look out for, like self-harm and substance abuse and things like that, and like parental neglect, maybe a little bit. This book like ripped my heart out. It was like beautifully written, and the premise does sound romantic, but like I would not say this is a romantic book. It's just, I mean, it's about love. It is a story about love, but like it is rough, and not in like the fun like, oh, this is dark and dramatic kind of way. There's like in some, oh my god, this is some real dark, like too real kind of stuff. Amazingly written, and I would definitely check out more of Tia Williams' books, and I'd happily purchase them to add to my collection. And then just like a quick repeat, I'd say Ashley Jade, because the words. The next question is newest fictional crush, and for this I'm gonna say Jacob from Yours Truly. This is the second book in Abby Jimenez's Part of Your World series. The new book in the series is Just for the Summer, which everybody's been talking about. I read that this year too. But this one was my favorite one in the series. I gave it 5 stars. Jacob is the sweetest, like softest gentleman. He has anxiety. He's so caring. He just feels so strongly. He's like self-conscious. I don't know what it is about this like sweet man that tickles me, but I just loved it. I loved like how he wrote the letters, and like, oh, my heart. Love Jacob. And then to piggyback off that, the next question is favorite character for the year, and I'd say that is Bree from this book as well. That's Jacob's love interest. They're both doctors in the ER. I just loved Bree because she felt so relatable to me personally. She's a little bit more hot-headed, very passionate with like defending the things she cares about, you know, protecting her heart. Not that I need to protect my heart. I've been in a relationship for nearly 10 years. But I just loved her fiery personality, how she was just really also understanding and thoughtful to Jacob without having to try so hard. Like there were things that he found comforting or needed as a very anxious person, and she just easily provided those things for him without a second thought. You know what I mean? Oh, they were just great. I love them. I know some people don't like this book because there's a trope in there that is unappealing to some people, but like I'm also in that phase of my life where, I don't know, I just love it. I love it. I ate it up. And I heard another review recently where this girl was like, oh, this could have all been solved with like proper communication. And it's like, sure, but he's anxious. He's not gonna ask her. You know what I mean? And she's got a lot of baggage and walls up. Like, she's not gonna assume that he's in love with her. You know what I mean? So like, I got it. I understood why they didn't talk it out. And I just ate it up. I ate it up. Did I like this book? Yeah. Can you tell? The next question is a book that made you cry. And for this, I'm gonna say, before the coffee gets cold, there was a particular short story in here that felt more close to home with me, with a character who has a condition that happened in my family that, like, honestly, I could imagine happening to me. You know, I mean, not that I'm like ill or anything. I'm not ill at all. Like, this isn't anything with any like true validity behind it, but it's just like a fear of mine that this is what will happen to me when I get old. So seeing how that condition affected that person and the people that loved him, like, made me cry. Okay. And then another book that made me cry, I read recently for Becky's book club, her witchy book club. We read The Honey Witch, and the grandma character in that, like, we know she's dying, it's not a surprise. But for whatever reason, I was just like quietly like sobbing, like laying in bed, like like multiple tears. I don't know what it was, it's just the way it was written hit me in the particular spot. Sometimes it's just so beautiful to cry. Like, it just feels like a nice release of sad emotions and a bit cleansing. So I appreciated that book for that. To contrast that last question, we have a book that made you happy. And for this, I'm gonna say Things We Never Got Over. This is the last book I read since filming this video. I could finish this last night. It was like 4 stars, solid read. But dude, I consumed this book. I read this in like 3 days, and it's 550 pages. Something was happening with this book, okay? Magic was happening, where I just remembered why I love reading, why I love romance. I was like sitting on the couch in my clothes, and I was like, it's so late, I should just get ready for bed and then I can read more of this. But like, I was like, in 5 minutes, I was like, at the end of the next chapter, no, at the end of the next chapter, I'll get up. No. And I just couldn't stop. I did not want to put it down. I eventually did to get ready and be responsible for bed. I didn't stop reading this till like 1 in the morning until it was done. Okay, I like all day, it was page. So this made me super happy because it reminded me so much why I love reading. It's about a runaway bride who runs to a small town to help out her twin sister. She finds out her twin sister has left her with a hidden daughter. So her sister has like an 11-year-old child that the main character didn't know about, and now she's responsible for this little girl, and it's her romance with this like grumpy guy in the town. The only thing that's like, I wouldn't say it was like it's definitely not like a negative thing, but it just doesn't suit where I am in life right now. The characters were older than I would have assumed. Our heroine is 36 and our hero is 43. So if that's interesting to you, if you're looking for older couples, it doesn't feel like they're older. They're just still very like normal people who are falling in love and have things that they need to take care of, things that they're unsure about. They could have literally been almost any age between like 20 and apparently like 45. You know what I mean? This was a very fun ride. The only thing about that book, I don't know if I'll continue the series. Originally, I thought I would continue to collect them if I liked it, but I'm just not in love with the age range of the characters, because I think the next book would be with Knox's, the main guy in the first book's brother, who has got to be like 40, and the heroine who knew Knox when she was a junior in college and he was 24. So if Knox is 43, if she's, 3 years younger than him, she's also 40, which is completely fine. But like, I don't necessarily relate to that. So I don't know if I don't think I'll continue the series right now. But I will probably pick up more Lucy Scores because I enjoy her books in general. They're very consumable. I like the kind of thriller-esque vibes to it that they sometimes have. So yeah, that's enough said. The next question is the most beautiful books you've acquired so far this year. So I am not subscribed to any special edition boxes or anything like that. I don't really purchase a lot of expensive fancy books. I mean, I know Target has been doing more special editions, which is cool, but like with how many books are on my unread shelf, I am having restraint and not just buying things because they're pretty. I only have 2 books to mention, and I've already talked about them before, so it'll be quick, and it's Ready or Not. I think this is absolutely gorgeous, and Wild Love, because I love the pink, and I think the next book is gonna be orange with the same kind of vibe, and it just makes me happy to have beautiful covers and beautiful colors. Like a monochrome theme is so cool, and this is just so pastel and beautiful. That's all I got. I don't have fancy special editions, I'm sorry. Go definitely watch Sam's channel. I linked her down below already if you want to see really cool special editions, because she has all the boxes, she has her unboxing videos, and I precariously live through her when it comes to all things special editions. The last question is, what books do you need to read before the end of the year? And I have 4 books that I would like to read, and I will quickly talk about them. The first one I'll mention is A Touch of Darkness. This is a Persephone's and Hades retelling. This was supposed to be a buddy read with some of my girly friends here in the city from last year that I never got around to doing. I have a vlog of us going to the Ripped Bodice in Brooklyn where we picked up this book. I got distracted and didn't have time to read it, and I've been putting it off. Not that I'm not excited about it, I just haven't made the time. So I definitely need to read this year, because I should have read it last year. So shame on me. Another book that I would really like to read this year, crossing my fingers, oh my God, I'm scared even to lift this book up and say it, is Blood Mercy. This book is so big. It's huge. My booktube bestie, who I've talked about a million times already, Sam, gifted this to me for Christmas, and I would like to read it this year and not let a whole year go by before we tackle this chunky monster. Also, this is a part of a series, which is also intimidating because it's already so big. And I haven't been reading a lot of romantasy, so we'll give this a try. I was in a buddy read with this with Hannah, Kristen, and maybe another person, and we just weren't in the mood for it at the time. So I have an idea of how this starts, and I have an idea of the writing style. So with my expectations set, I am excited to give this another try, especially because it was a gift and I get to read it with my friend Sam. The next book is The Devil and the Dark Water by Stuart Turton. This is the author of The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Was one of my ultimate top favorite books of my life. I'm obsessed with that book, so I really want to finally get to this. I bought it probably like 2022 at this point, and I've been so scared to read it because I want to love it so much. But Kristen from Kristen Craves Books, who I just mentioned a second ago, said she would love to buddy read this with me. This is still on her TBR as well, so I hope the mood really strikes me sooner than later. Maybe like September, October would be the right time to read this. And when that mood strikes, I will definitely hit up Kristen to buddy read this with me. Hopefully she's in the mood when I'm in the mood to read it. This is a fantasy-esque book, I assume. Actually, I don't know how much magical elements will be in it, but there were magical elements in his other books, so I assume that will be the case. Plus, I mean, it's the devil. Like, I think it's gonna have magic in it. It is about this detective who's being transported to Amsterdam, I guess from the UK, if I was gonna just guess, for a crime he may or may not have committed. And there's some creepy things happening on this ship that he's being transported on. And he has to figure out what's causing the chaos, I guess. And just like, look at this book. It's so pretty. This isn't even a special edition. And I love it. And I love it. And I hope I love it. And I cross my fingers that I love it. And then the last book I desperately want to read before the end of the year is Manacled by Su-Lin Yu. This is a fan fiction of Draco and Hermione with like a Handmaid's Tale vibe where Voldemort has won the war. So it's like this horrible world, and I think Hermione must be some kind of like handmaid slave kind of vibe, and Draco's family is obviously on the side of Voldemort, so he probably has like power over her or something. I don't really know what's going on. Probably hate to love. I know the book is massively long. I think it's like 1,000 pages or whatever. I have it downloaded on my Kindle. It's getting like republished as its own book, like traditionally published book that's going to be renamed and probably have new characters and stuff. So I definitely want to read the original that everybody loves. I saw all those TikToks and stuff where people will be like, this is me before reading Manacled, and then they go, this is me after reading Manacled, and they're like hysterically sobbing. Like, I should probably do that. It's so late in the trend, but maybe I'll do it, I don't know. I'm not the best at the short form media, but whatever. I'm desperate to read that. But it is part of the reason I'm doing my Harry Potter binge. I really want to finish that series before diving into a fan fiction of it, just so I can fully understand the source material. I'm also really enjoying reading the Harry Potter series in general, so it's not like a chore to read it, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm forcing myself to read it. But yeah, I definitely want to do it in that order. I want to finish the whole Harry Potter series, and then I'll move on to Manacled, hopefully very soon after completing it. So, oh, Chase is in the hallway. I have to hurry and finish. All right, I'm literally done. I just have to say my outro. All right, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate it, and obviously it helps out my channel. And I will catch you in another video. Bye.